Look, I think the idea of having a contract across all formats is a little bit obsolete now, and most countries are looking at a way to get past that, to find a contract that suits the current environment. There are a lot of players away playing franchise cricket, improving their game in T20 and going from leaps to bounds. And if those players that are specifically for T20, if we try and keep them in the whole program and make them play first-class cricket and everything, they're not going to enhance their game as quickly as others. Whereas the other side of that is if you want to play Test cricket, this actually allows you the time to concentrate on it rather than have to spread across 3 forms to try and make money. So the idea the PCB are trying to find a contract that suits all players. And therefore they can specialise, and therefore we can try and maximise performance. Well, the demands and the pace of international cricket is far greater than it ever has been. The intensity, the fact that there's more cricket in a short space of time, therefore you need to be fit. And fit doesn't mean you're not injured, and I think that's the big difference. When you're playing 2 or 3 forms of the game, to find time to have a month-long window or a 2-month window where you can actually increase your base fitness is going to be critical. And it's something that has been missing in terms of players have been surviving and playing but haven't been able to have a block of training. So that's something that we're certainly keen to introduce. I think the challenge is when you've got a side that's winning 20% of their games, we have to start improving the consistency of performance. So, we weren't winning series at home, we weren't winning series away. Now we're actually winning a lot more series than we were. We've gone from, 20-something to 70% win ratio. Now, of course, if we weren't winning at home or weren't winning series, the supporters would expect us to win at home. We're now winning that far more regularly. Of course we want to win at ICC events, but you can't expect to be winning 20% of your games and front up at ICC events and win tournaments. During that period where we were winning such little amount, we weren't even making it past the first round in ICC events. 23, 24, 25, all of those events never made it past the first round. 2026, we made it past the Super 8s. We lost 1 game to England by 2 wickets. Outside of that, we never lost a game. We had a rain out against New Zealand in the Super 8s. We can't do much about that. So that close loss to England was critical, but at least we're getting far closer than we were. And you have to be in the fight. You have to be in the battle to give yourself a chance of progressing, higher in those ICC events. The Asia Cup, we went in 4th or 5th favourite, and we made the final of the Asia Cup. And looking back, it's probably a game that we could have or should have won. So to go from where we were to where we are now is a huge improvement. But we know that we still need to improve much more than we are now. But look, we can't go from 23% to winning world events. We have to actually start winning more regularly. Oh, look, you've talked about 2 different formats there. I think, in T20 cricket, as I said, we've gone from sort of 23% to 73% win ratio. So all of a sudden, we're not going to throw everybody out and start again. We've finally made some progress in that area. So there's still players that aren't involved in the Asian Games who will come into contention for T20 tournaments down the line. But we have a lot of time between now and then. We've got PSLs, we have other tournaments where players can push their case. In terms of one-day cricket, we're just over a year away from the World Cup, 15 months. We actually have to spread the net a little bit and look at some new players over the next 6 months to make sure we have the right ones coming into the World Cup. So there will be some opportunities. And our one-day side, a year ago had gone through a bit of a blip after a good year, and now we're just starting to pick things up again in the white form as well. White ball. Yes, it is. It's very much a balancing act, really. It's putting a side that's suitable for T20 cricket, but also giving ourselves an opportunity to expose some younger players, some players that we want. They might have been in the squad, but might not have played a lot. So it's a good chance for us to see them against high-quality competition. It's certainly not just India. Sri Lanka's certainly improving. Afghanistan and T20 cricket are always a threat. Bangladesh are obviously, challenging in conditions that spin as well. So we certainly can't just think about one team. There are a number of sides that will be challenging for the Asian Games, but we think we have a nice balance.